Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Gladys Rivera, and I have the honor and the pleasure of interviewing Kathy Shine today. She's going to tell us a little bit about how the West is fun. Kathy, tell us how the West is fun for you.
Well, there are probably two specific points that I'd like to make. First, I had a wonderful opportunity a number of years ago to travel to California, and we specifically visited the national park, Yosemite. And then a couple of years later, I traveled as far west as you can in the United States, and we made it to Hawaii. And that was absolutely magical.
Okay. I'm thinking how the West was fun. I didn't think Hawaii, but I want you to tell me about that a little bit later. Tell me a little bit about California first.
Well, actually, the first time that I went out to California was a road trip. My husband and I left the day after we got married and headed out of Wisconsin and took a road trip. We went first up to Denver, Colorado, and I had never traveled that far before. And we traveled in a brand new Honda CRX that had a 4-stick transmission, and I didn't know how to drive it. So learning how to drive stick and learning how to drive on the expressway at 70 miles an hour, that was an adventure. But we went to Denver, and then from there we drove to Yosemite National Park. And it was just spectacular.
I can only imagine the scenery and the trip and the way up there was lovely.
Stunning.
What did you do when you got there?
Well, it was our honeymoon, so we did a couple of very personal things. But we took a lot of hikes. We had our own cameras, and my husband had gifted me a camera and all of his colored filters. So we took a number of photographs of the scenery while we were there. We almost explored the same path that Ansel Adams had taken. So we captured a number of waterfalls, and the mountaintops were just absolutely exquisite. What I was amazed by was the altitude. I had never traveled where we were that far above sea level, and literally the expression, it takes your breath away, it did. We pulled over on the side of the road many times just to stop in awe and wonder of the scenery, the sunsets, the eagles that flew by. And we had traveled in the month of May, so we actually had to have chains on the tires for the car because it had snowed quite recently. One of the first nights that we were there, we got snowed into the cabin. That was quite lovely on the honeymoon. But but being present was just a remarkably magical opportunity.
Wow. I can only imagine that because of the technology advances, that would be a whole totally different experience at this time. So maybe you were really lucky that we didn't have all the cameras and all this other technology, and you're able to spend quality time on your honeymoon with your husband.
Well, and many of the redwoods that were there at the time have burned as a result of the wildwood fires. So I think that we were very blessed that we traveled when we did.
Very nice. Now, tell me about Hawaii.
Well, there's a wonderful backstory to this. I had created my very first vision board, and in the corner of my vision board, I had a picture of the Hawaiian Islands. I had always wanted to travel there, but for a variety of reasons, it just wasn't practical. Put it on my vision board, and it was interesting. I had put it on my wall, and where I have my file boxes and all my file folders, it covered up the corner of my vision board. And I was dusting the desk one day, and I'm like, well, why am I covering up all of my vision board? And I moved it 3 inches over. Within 2 weeks, I heard an ad on the radio through WMIL's radio station, and they were putting together a travel trip to Hawaii for 10 days and 10 nights, and it was just magnificent. And we traveled to 5 different islands, and just wonderful.
Lovely. So the vision board brought it
Put it
full
in
circle
focus.
for you. Yeah,
You
put
bet.
it in focus for you. Nice.
Yes.
Now, I quite honestly did not think Hawaii off the top of my head. When I'm thinking going down or going up west for fun, what's a place you haven't been that you might like to go to?
Haven't been. Well, I've traveled to Puerto Rico, so that would be going south. I would love someday to go to Alaska. There was an Alaskan cruise in conjunction with the International Convention just the last couple of weeks. But the timing did not work out for me, but that is something that I would like to do before all the glaciers and such go away.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. So that would be exciting, especially with global warming, and you want to experience those things before, like you said, they go away. Is there anything that you would do maybe a little differently?
Absolutely. In particular to my trip to Hawaii, what I loved was the day that I spent at the Polynesian Cultural Center. But in the package that we took with the tour guides, we had very specific activities that we had to do, very limited time frames. You had pre-purchase tickets, but that also meant that you were in the last 2 rows of the auditorium. I would take a day or 2 going there and spending the opportunities and watching all of the different dancers from the different Polynesian islands and from the different cultures that were represented, the costumes that they wore, the music that they played, from the drums and the dancing. It was just absolutely exquisite. The flowers that they would wear ornately on their bodies, the tattoos, just remarkably impressive. And having the opportunity to spend more time in each of those different cultures would have been something I would have loved to have done. While I was there, I also had an opportunity to visit the Dole Pineapple Plantation. Nice. And silly me, at the time, I did not know that a pineapple was actually a flower. I always thought it was a fruit, but it is in fact a flower. So being able to eat things a little differently. We went to a beautiful orchid farm. We had also traveled on bus, and we saw a number of sites, including the scene where Elvis Presley did Blue Hawaii.
Blue Hawaii.
That was wonderful.
Right.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that information
You're
with
welcome.
us, Kathy. And if you had to give one piece of advice to somebody who's going to go up west for fun, what would you give them?
Travel in spring. The month of May, the month of June, early June, I think are 2 of the best months to travel. And if you're going in Hawaii, maybe between March and April. They're the best travel months. Beautiful weather, sunshine, cool breeze, exquisite.
Great. Thank you for interviewing with us today, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Gladys.
Bye-bye.